Welcome to the NJC's 10-minute takeaway, where we'll try and cram in as much information as we can into a 10-minute workshop. I'm Tom Stenson, audit trainer and head of training for the ADINJC. Today I'm joined by Andy MacFarlane, who is lead trainer at Bright Coaching and franchise manager at Caledonian Driver Training. Thanks for joining us this morning, Andy.
Thank you, Tom. Thanks for having me.
And in today's topic, we will be discussing the importance, I probably shouldn't have added that. We will be discussing how to plan for a Part 3 in standards check. So our time starts now. I had an interesting one recently, actually, Andy, where somebody come to me after 2 failed attempts of a Part 3. And one of the things that I found really interesting was that they were under the impression that part of their planning for Part 3 was choosing a theme from the marking sheet.
Yeah,
So I'd kind of be interested on what your thoughts are, or what you would suggest when it comes to planning for a Part 3 or standards check.
yeah. I guess I've had something similar with previous PDIs about they start planning the Part 3 test when they get the test date about what they're going to do and what the best theme is to do, or even asking on social media about what other people have done at that test centre and how to pass the Part 3. Yeah, I think we said before that that choosing the theme is it's the examiner's job. He fills that part in. It's
Yeah.
it's office use only, so it's more important that we deliver a lesson that the pupil needs rather than what the instructor wants to do or thinks they need to do.
Do you feel, though, there are some restrictions to a certain degree because we are restricted to that 45 minutes? That doesn't give the candidate a lot of time to travel from the test centre. So
Yeah,
does some thought have to go into what you're going to be delivering with the pupil because of what you've got in the area?
yeah, definitely. I think there are strengths to the test area for good subjects, good topics. You don't want to. A lot of people just try and plan a route of like A to B and back again. And there's too many weaknesses in that because if faults start happening, how are you going to fix them if you've just got planned to go somewhere and come back again? So yeah, short, repeatable routes near the test centre that that allow for the people to develop are going to guarantee high scoring marks on a test. Um, and trying to plan for what might go wrong rather than trying to stick to a plan that you've been planning for 3 months since you got the test date.
And we know from the some of the stuff that the DVSA sends out where they say, the most common reason for failing is still not adapting the lesson.
Yeah,
And I think from people that come to me who've had unsuccessful attempts, I can kind of see that from the marking they've got or from the discussions that we've had, that
yeah,
they've gone in with this pre-planned idea of what they're going to do. And then the pupil has either regressed because stress, examiner in the car, or
yeah,
they've kind of exceeded what the trainee was going to think was going to happen or the instructor was going to happen.
yeah, definitely. I think you know, I guess from experience, we do a lot of assessments with people, like a mock test for a part 3, and the amount of times the trainee or the instructor says afterwards that pupil just wasn't themselves today. That was totally different than they've ever been. And I think you can't experience that unless you do it, and you don't want that to happen on your part 3 test. They always kind of go back a couple of lessons in confidence and ability because there's an examiner sat behind them. And yeah, the examiner says they're not there to see them, they're there to see the instructor, but the pressure's there.
Mm.
Um, and what I always say to the PDIs is that you actually want the pupil to show a weakness, because then that's your blank canvas. That's you set up to deliver a good lesson. If you plan something that's too easy, then you're not showing off your skills to the examiner. You're not showing them what you do. Um, and then also if you plan something that's going to suit the pupil, you then think, well, how can I kind of gently push the boundaries of challenge here again to show the examiner what you can do rather than just stick to one plan and that's it. It's been fluid, it's been adaptable to what the pupil needs in the day.
Mm.
Um, just getting as much practice as that before you go for the test with with a trainer or even just another instructor watching and giving
Yeah.
you tips on how to keep the flow going.
I've often referred to it as a bit like a job interview. There is a certain amount of preparation we would do for a job interview, But when
Yeah,
we turn up, we've got to be ready to adapt. We've got to be ready for those questions that are going to be thrown for us, or those
yeah,
tasks that are suddenly going to be there, where you can't prepare for absolutely everything because
no,
it's just not possible.
yeah. I had a conversation with you the other day talking about it, and I kind of linked it to, when faults start happening. If you've got this lesson plan and things start going wrong, you end up just firefighting. You're constantly trying to stop the faults from getting worse and happening. It's like, well, what can you do before that to stop the fire from spreading? You plan a good lesson, or you think about what might go wrong and then plan how to fix that before it happens. And it's more, you know, divert the fire or wet the grass, or do something to avoid it happening. Then you're pre-exempting. You're prepared for it to happen.
Prevention
Where,
is better than cure.
yeah, yeah. You got to think ahead of the people rather than alongside them. And the beauty of that with part three is, your people. You know what they're like. You know what mistakes they're likely to make. So just, plan a lesson on that. Don't try and do what you want to do or what you think is going to work.
So if we're agreeing that if a PDI or an ADI gets their letter come through or their email come through with a date for a Part 3 standards check, we've agreed that we don't really want to be planning just then. So
Yeah.
what advice would you be giving then on how we could start to put a lesson plan together? When would we try and typically do that?
I think it's trying to, use the area, because obviously your test center, you know what routes you're going to have that are manageable. And again, you don't want to plan something around a busy roundabout that's going to be too challenging, or you're stuck there for a long time not moving. Um, and try doing the lesson with other pupils and see how it works and see what happens.
Mm.
Um, and that as part of it, obviously your pupils and you know what strengths and weaknesses they have. That is planning a few weeks in advance. Well, if I'm going to do my test and I'm thinking this is going to work, then maybe I'll not teach this pupil that lesson for the next couple of weeks. We'll focus on maneuvers or something, so that there's general need there needed on the day of the test, as opposed to just trying to do something that's too easy.
Mm.
Um, Another tip I always have, some people say, well, I'll take the people there, the day before, and I'll go around the test route loads of times. So, well, but then if they're used to it and they know it well too well, then it's going to be too easy for them. You actually want to challenge them that little bit. You want to give your chance to show the examiner what you can do, as opposed to making it too easy. So yeah, I'm not saying you don't plan it in advance, but you don't make it concrete too early, because it's going to change. But guaranteed, it's going to change.
Mm.
Very few successful part threes that I had have they gone, my plan went perfectly. This is exactly what I thought was going to happen. It's just, the pupil does something under pressure, you recognize it and go, good, that's what I teach now.
And I think that hopefully links to real life lessons as well. Although
Yeah,
we know that there are differences in a Part 3 of a standards check. It's obvious, like with every test, there's always that slight difference. And I think that sort of brings us back to what we said earlier, that it's all right having a bit of a plan, and it's all right considering, what have I got in the area near the test centre? What
yeah,
pupils have I got that are available at perhaps 8:30 in the morning? So
yeah,
there are considerations, like you say, that can be taken, but going too in depth and having this written plan that's in concrete, yeah,
yeah,
it's just a recipe for disaster, isn't it?
yeah. You're kind of trying to follow a script, and then something happens outside that script, and oh no, I'm doing this, I'm ignoring that. And so many times the examiner, there's a perfect phrase when the guy said, here, I could have slapped you in the back of the head, because he's recognized the pupil's fault and he's just seen the instructor just tunnel vision, not seeing it, not doing anything about it. He said, if you just, deal with what they need, I know you can do it. You can show me, you've seen what you're doing, you can do it, but you're too kind of focused on one thing rather than the pupil's needs, the pupil's goals. And yeah, it's, without trying to make it be patronizing in a way, I think it's quite easy to plan a test with your own pupils, because you know what they need, you know what they like. Don't think it's too complicated. It's just a driving lesson. Teach them something they need, keep them safe, and involve them in that process. You're ticking all the boxes.
Mm. And
Not that it's a box ticking exercise.
no, yeah, that's good. Yeah. And I like that because I think a lot of our industry focuses on making things very complex when they're not, or they
No,
shouldn't be.
yeah,
our industry loves the 17 competencies, but actually, I'm more and more in the camp where I think, do people actually need to know those? As long as
Yeah,
you're doing, like you say, a good lesson that's safe and learning's taken place and we're encouraging the pupil, what more can we really ask for?
yeah, yeah. The competencies are all holistic. They work around each other. If you're doing the core things, then it's going to work for them all. Don't try and separate them and think, oh, if I say this and say that, that'll do that one. It's an all round approach.
Brilliant. Well, that is coming to the end of our time, Andy. So can I just say thank you very much for joining us on the session, and we look forward to getting you back again soon.
Yeah, more than happy to. Thank you for having me.